Good morning. Good morning. Rise and shine. It is Throwback Thursday time. Welcome to the Green Nurse podcast, where we bring you hope and inspiration for growth and healing so you can start your day off the Green Nurse way. Right? We're here to decrease stigma around what it means to feel good and be high. Hence that H for hope, I for inspiration, G for growth, and H for healing. We're going to start the day off with one of our little awesome little videos. I think I'm going to switch it up today. So let's see what we have here. Okay, here we go. Rise and shine. Here we go. Here's some inspiration for you all.
We're here to educate and empower patients to make choices that are best for them. We're also here to decrease stigma around what it means to feel good and be high. Hence the H for hope, I for inspiration, G for growth, and H for healing. The Green Nurse is a holistic cannabis nurse that teaches on the endocannabinoid system and the safe utilization of cannabis and other progressive tools to help people reach a better quality of life.
I was cannabis agnostic for many, many years. And you know, the more research I did, the more I discovered that cannabis is this amazing medicine.
I was told that I had a 4-stage pancreatic cancer. The doctor really told me he couldn't do anything else. He gave me her name and she called me and she came to my house. She started to give me cannabis. My oncologist was puzzled because he couldn't find the cancer anymore.
All of the learning that we get comes from the Green Nurses group, comes from their support, comes from their guidance. I trust everything that she says.
Simply meet people where they're at. The plant doesn't, stress to grow, so we don't stress to share it. We're healing people.
Cannabis has been used as a medicine for tens upon thousands of years. Here's the big message. Cannabis needs to be federally legal. We need to have laws that are the same across all 50 states that allow access to anyone and everyone who wants to utilize this powerful medicine.
Growing, right? Growing in health, growing in cannabis, right? And what does it mean to grow? What does it mean to grow? It means to come out, right? When you think about a seed in the ground, right? What does it do? It pops open and it starts to grow towards the light. And so that's what we're trying to do here this morning, everyone. We're here to bring you a little love, a little light, a little laughter. There you go, L3. Love, light, and laughter.
I
As
love
we
it.
start. I know, it's good stuff.
Aw.
So, welcome everyone. And I just want to introduce my co-host for the new viewers and the new fans. I've got Green Nurse Iowa Carey Lee here. She's an amazing cannabis nurse in the community. She's a psychedelic nurse, and I'm going to let her introduce herself, and then we'll hop right into the show because we have a really good show planned for y'all. Here we go.
Thank
Carey
you,
Lee.
Sherri. Good morning, everybody. My name is Carey Lee. I am a registered nurse here in the great state of Iowa. I am also a green nurse. I connect patients here in Iowa to Iowa's medical program. I teach them about the endocannabinoid system and how to safely choose products and how to effectively use them so that they can accomplish their health goals. I'm also a proud green nurse and a mentor, nursing supervisor with Holistic Caring Network. And I am a ketamine nurse for Keta MD. So also a cannabis stigma fighter.
Yes.
So thanks for
Boom,
having me,
boom.
Sherri.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. So we're here. We show up every morning because we are passionate about this plant. We do want to educate and empower you. The future of healthcare is patient empowerment, and that is through education. Not just through information, but education, the application of how to use cannabinoids and other plant medicines to support and nourish that most important system in our body. So when we start off the show every morning, we like to start off with some hugs and nugs. And often the hugs and nugs have to do with mental, emotional, and spiritual health. And so we love to start the day off with either a pulling of the card or an affirmation or a little reading or something inspirational just to reset your mind and start your day off in a way that's amazing. So Carey Lee's got some cards here. Carey Lee, what do we got going on today?
We have the Power of Surrender cards, a deck by Dr. Judith Orloff. So I utilize this as a tool to help reprogram my subconscious thinking, mainly the negative, ruminating, toxic beliefs, core beliefs, thoughts, and such. So let's see what we are surrendering to today.
There we go.
Okay, so I'm going to split this in 3 piles, picking number 1 through 3, Miss Sherri.
Oh, I'm going to have a number 1 kind of day.
Ooh, I like it.
1.
Uno. Surrender your attachment to results. The formula for success is to do all you can to make things happen, then let go of the results. Holding on too tightly to a desired outcome can sabotage it.
Here you go.
Ooh.
Here you go. Here you go, right? Let go and let God. Let go and let the plant. Let go and let the universe show up. What is it? Wake up, suit up, show up, shut up, right? Really,
Yes.
you think
Yes.
about it is just to keep doing what you can, do the best you can with what you have right here, right now. I like that. And, and here's the other thing too about, the universal laws, the law of attraction, right? Keeping our mindset in a positive way and looking at, right, really visualizing and imagining what the outcome of what we may want to, how we may want to see it and manifest it. But however, the other piece of it is pulling back and not trying to push, right? You think about how, and I bring it back to cannabis. The cannabis
Yeah.
plant just grows easily and effortlessly. And guess what? But it has to have nutrition. It has to have sunlight. It has to be watered. Very similar to us, right? We need to take care of the most important system in our body. I really, really love that card,
I do too. It's like
because
staying present in the moment and like
yeah,
in the journey, but
yeah,
being detached to an outcome, like staying
yes,
open. Because
yes,
depending upon what you're doing in the present moment, it will surely change that outcome. So
yeah,
it makes total sense not to remain focused on the end result and just stay in that moment and enjoy what you're doing, you know?
exactly. Well,
Yeah.
that leads into what? It leads into Happy National Chocolate Day.
I
So,
love it.
right. So today is Throwback Thursday, and we're gonna talk about a couple of things, and then get into some endocannabinoid system enriching activities and pair cannabis with the discussion. So National Chocolate Day is today, October 28th, and it recognizes one of the world's favorite tastes. While many specific chocolate related holidays exist throughout the year, National Chocolate Day celebrates all things chocolate, including infused chocolate, right? So, how is chocolate made? Chocolate comes from the seed of the tropical Theobroma cacao tree. So, humans have been cultivating cacao for at least 3 millennia. The plant grows in Mexico, Central America, and northern South America. Historians document the earliest known use of cacao seeds around 1100 BC. So, cacao has an intense bitter taste of cocoa, and it requires the bean to be fermented to develop the flavor. So, research suggests that chocolate, when eaten in moderation, can lower blood pressure. And we're not talking about chocolate that's filled with sugar. So, I just want to get back to that statement. So once these beans are fermented, they're dried, cleaned, and roasted. The shell's removed to produce the cacao nibs, right? I don't know if you've all seen little nibs, but they're really, really amazing. They're very bitter, but they're packed with nutrients. So the cacao nibs are then ground into cacao mass. So they ground it up and you get this big pile of cacao powder, which is pure chocolate in rough form. So the cacao mass is usually liquefied, then molded with or without other ingredients. And at this point in the process, it's called chocolate liqueur. So the chocolate liqueur may then be processed into two components: cacao solids and cocoa butter. So we have unsweetened baking chocolate. Those are the cacao solids, and the cocoa butter in varying proportions. We have sweet chocolate, which is cocoa solids, cocoa butter, and other fats and sugars. And then we have milk chocolate, which is sweet chocolate with milk powder or condensed milk. And then we have white chocolate, which is cocoa butter, sugar, and milk, but no cocoa solids. So it's very, very interesting how chocolate can play a role in our health and wellness. So when we are talking about chocolate, I like to just bring it back to the cacao or the cocoa, right? And you want to look at chocolate that has over 70% cacao in it. And here's the reason why. Through research and through learning about the endocannabinoid system, we know that everything that we do or don't do in our lives can either support and nourish the endocannabinoid system or doesn't. So we can get into a whole other topic about cacao and chocolate because I think it would be a really great discussion down the road. But what chocolate with over 70% cacao, or even the cacao nibs, or even cacao powder, it does stimulate the endocannabinoid system. It stimulates those CB2 receptors that are in our immune system, right? And immunomodulatory. So you can imagine when you're pairing high quality chocolate with cannabinoids, how there could be a potential benefit. What do you think about that, Carey Lee?
I love it. I love it. Actually, in my morning coffee every morning, I use from a company based out of Hawaii, cordyceps. It's a blend of cordyceps mushrooms, lion's mane, and cacao.
There you
And
go.
I just love that it tastes fabulous, and I know I'm getting amazing health benefits. So, you know,
Yay. And that like also, here we go to one of the other things that we talk about supporting the endocannabinoid system. Carey Lee has an amazing modality. She's created the daily 5 to thrive, soul thrive. So if you think about soul, our soul, right? Our soul, there's no one more important than us. And then you think about soul, the sun, right? Reaching towards the sun. And so the daily 5 to thrive is just another hug and a nug and a tip to remind you to incorporate these 5 things into your life because they will help support and nourish your endocannabinoid system. They will
absolutely.
help and support how this plant works in your body. So just a quick review, Carey Lee, what's the 5?
Absolutely. Top number one is sleep hygiene. Number two is nutrition and hydration. Number three is moving your ass every day, doing something that you love, physical movement. Number four is stress reducing activities that also incorporate some a semblance of spirituality, like meditation or gratitude journaling. And then number four is getting outside in Mother Nature, getting that sun hitting your skin, creating and producing luscious vitamin D. And if we can't get that, like those of us here, like me in the Midwest, it's rainy and nasty and we're heading to winter, supplementation, light therapy. There are all kinds of ways to get the light.
Yeah, right.
So,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
And so the daily 5, to thrive that Carey has, created for Soul Thrive, Green Nurse, Iowa, we're going to tap a little bit into that and how it can apply to a specific condition that a lot of people don't want to talk about because it can be really, really embarrassing. And it's something that I have struggled with in the past, but we're going to get into the history of it, what it is, and how cannabis can help. And specifically, how the daily 5 to thrive can help for people that have this particular condition, specifically when traveling. So, we're going to talk a little bit about agoraphobia. All right. So, in case you don't know what that is, it is a severe anxiety disorder that often develops after one or more panic attacks. And it was discovered in 1871. Agoraphobia is considered to be fear of places and situations that might cause panic, helplessness, or embarrassment. So in 1871, Carl Friedrich Otto Westphal, who's a German psychiatrist, introduced the term agoraphobia. And how he described his observations of people that were living with panic sensations when challenged with the thought of being in public. So here's this interesting tidbit. Charles Darwin was one of the earliest noteworthy people known to have agoraphobia. Very, very interesting. So
Interesting.
I know, right? So and here's the thing is that it's generally diagnosed in a way that is looking at anxiety, looking at panic disorder, looking at behaviors, what happens. And we'll get into the symptoms in a minute. So, bottom line is the symptoms do include fear and avoiding places and situations that might cause the feelings of panic or might cause entrapment or helplessness or even embarrassment. So, there's actually over 200,000 cases per year. 1% of adults have agoraphobia. It affects more females than males. And treatment can help, but this condition can't be cured, meaning it is chronic and ongoing. So it can last for years or it can be lifelong. And this is what the research has shown. So usually agoraphobia is self-diagnosable. Lab test or imaging is not required. So getting a little bit more into the symptoms. Symptoms can include fear, avoidance of places and situations, physiological, right? You have that panic, that fight or flight, depression or anxiety, difficulty sleeping. Your mood can be unregulated, apprehension, right? The triggering. And the behavior is that of avoidance. So some of the other symptoms of agoraphobia include fears of what? Leaving the home alone, leaving the home, period, waiting in lines or crowds, often open areas like bridges, parking lots, tolls, malls, enclosed spaces like elevators, movie theaters, small stores, using public transportation like planes, trains, and buses. Okay. So other symptoms include avoiding triggering situations, needing to have a companion to go with you to certain places, being extremely distressed, however, you're enduring the situation, and your anxiety or fear is in the wrong relation to the situations that actually cause the danger, avoidance, and or phobia. So your people's avoidance and phobia can typically last for more than 6 months. This is how they diagnose it. And a lot of patients or people that have this condition experience extreme distress or have issues with work, social situations, or other areas of life due to anxiety, fear, and avoidance. So conventional therapies can include cognitive behavioral therapy, which is the exposure and response prevention, psychotherapy, systemic desensitization. So here we go to the other conventional therapies that they mention are also self-care, all of those things that support and nourish the endocannabinoid system. Medications, oftentimes patients that have this condition do have severe anxiety, depression, issues with sleep. And so they're prescribed SSRIs, anti-anxiety meds, and sedatives. And we all know that with specific pharmaceuticals, it can cause a drug nutrient depletion. There can be a lot of side effects. And then what happens, you start med stacking. So cannabinoid therapeutics, just based on what I just said, let's think about how can cannabis help with symptoms of agoraphobia, right? So we look at our umbrella, the endocannabinoid system, which is the largest neuroregulatory system in our body. It regulates all 11 organ systems, our immune system, and all of the neurotransmitter signaling systems that give messages to tell our body to do something or not do something. We have an endocannabinoid system not because of the plant, but because we create components in our body like the plant. And the goal is to supplement, to regulate, to upregulate our system so it can kick in and do its job to keep us in balance. So cannabinoid therapeutics can help with depression, anxiety, panic attacks, insomnia, all of those things related to agoraphobia. So cannabinoid therapeutics can improve mood, and it can pair really, really well with other of those other conventional treatments, such as cognitive behavioral therapy. You know, if you can find a therapist that is cannabinoid friendly, you can do a lot of processing of information. Psychotherapy. Some of my best sessions with my therapist or my psychiatrist is when I've been using cannabis, a little bit of CBD to settle down that anxiety, to be able to discuss things in a place where I'm not in the space of panic or fight or flight, processing information. The exposure response prevention program is facing fears and letting obsessive thoughts appear without acting on them. So bottom line with that, I wouldn't be able to do that without cannabis. And that's a statement of fact, right? Because it helps to quell, it helps to quiet down, it helps to stop that stress response. So your mind is not going 1,000 miles a minute, and you can settle into the experience to process the emotions. And then there's also, which is interesting, and I don't think I could do this one right away. However, I've been doing it because I have cannabis on board and we are growing in health. So there's a thing called systematic desensitization, which is a treatment modality where a patient is exposed directly to anxiety provoking stimulus and taught relaxation techniques. So I'm going to talk a little bit about positively processing perception. That's something that you've experienced, Carey Lee.
Yes.
And right, and in this healing modality that was started by nurse Nick Pichette. She's the cannabis nurse navigator. She's a perception coach. And she taught us a modality that works really, really well with cannabis, right? So you think about, and so did Denise, the Mutra. Peace begins with me, right? Just a little inhalation, just a little mantra, just really going in, right? So positively processing perception when stimulus is overwhelming us and getting us into that space of panic, fight, or flight. Meek taught us a method. Please stop. Okay. We can't stop what's going on around us 9 out of 10 times, but we can stop and go in and process it and soothe and calm ourselves. So please stop. We can't stop what's outside, but we can work on stopping what's inside. So P is
Absolutely.
pause, right? Pause. Just pause in it. L is listen. Listen to your body, listen to your emotions, listen to your spirit, right? Pause, L, listen. E, exhale. And when you're exhaling and you focus on that, it's forcing you to take an inhale. So it's exhale, let it go. And then you have A, PLEA is acceptance. Well, I'll tell you what, it's sometimes really, really hard to accept the present moment, especially when you're triggered in fear and panic. So if you can't accept the present moment as it is, accept the fact that you can't accept it, right? There's a good one. S is silence. When you're in silence, what are you doing? You're able to hear a little bit more of the spirit coming up and helping to calm you. And then we have the last one. E is empowerment, right? So how cool is this if you can self-soothe utilizing these tricks to help you move through a triggering situation so you're not stuck in the story, not stuck in the loop, and you can continue to show up as the best version of yourself. So PLEASE, please stop, go in, process, deep breathe, and continue on. So that's what it is. We want to reset our central nervous system, and there's a lot of ways to do that that we talk about. All right, so here we go. So here's some other things that can help too. So cannabinoids pairs with other health and wellness activities, alternative therapies, and the conventional system, it can bridge the gap to help us build resiliency. So the other part of my story is having to do, and Carey Lee has her shirt on, Keta MD shirt. Psychedelics has been really, really beneficial and instrumental in helping patients. I don't have the research, I don't have the data, but plant medicines in general, adaptogens, the mushrooms, cannabinoids, and psychedelics actually are really, really helpful at reframing how our mind processes emotion. So tell everyone a little bit about ketamine, Carey Lee, because it's you got the shirt on, and we might as well plug the company because a lot of green nurses are also ketamine nurses. So we're home treatment ketamine nurses.
Yeah, so ketamine is, first of all, it's an FDA approved medication. It's been around for, geez, well over 50 years. It's used as an anesthetic in surgical procedures. And so what we have found through research is that, it can be also used as an off-label for treatment of treatment-resistant major depression, those that are battling suicidal thoughts, anxieties such as PTSD, CPTSD, anything that falls under the anxiety umbrella, and there's several disorders of that. It also helps treat chronic pain and those that are battling addiction. So we were just talking about an article on this in one of our meetings today. It was discussing the rapid effects, and that's where I think it really clicks with me. And I'm one of those that has treatment resistant. Psychiatric medications do not work. In fact, the side effects from those medications created pharmaceutical trauma. So ketamine works rapidly because it helps suppress the production of glutamate. Glutamate is directly linked to major depression and suicidal ideation. So that's why it works so quickly and gives relief. And as you know, Sherri, when somebody's battling any form of chronic suicidal thoughts, those psychiatric medications that they prescribe can take a minimum of 2 weeks to kick in. Somebody that is battling chronic suicidal ideation, they don't have 2 weeks. They need immediate relief. And that is what ketamine does. So just another feather in our hat as green nurses to be able to offer, to connect, human beings to this, alternative modality. And That's why I'm so
Yeah.
passionate about it. So,
I know. I know. Thank you so
yeah.
much for doing what you do. It's really, really important. And that's what
Thank
we're
you for
evolving
doing it
into.
too, Sherri. You're a ketamine nurse guide as well.
I know. And I'm
So
going to
you
tell
do it
you,
right
it's really,
alongside with me.
I know, and it's been really amazing. And it's just even amazing as we evolve into the space how cannabinoids pair so well with these other psychedelic
They
therapies. And
sure do.
we're just scratching,
They sure
the
do.
tip of the iceberg.
And I'd like to touch on the agoraphobia as well because,
Yeah. Yeah. Good.
I don't have agoraphobia like throughout the year, but I battle seasonal depression, and that
Hmm.
is a component of seasonal depression, and so I feel you on that. I know what it feels like. There's certain times of the year. Guess what? You are not going to find me in a big box store. You're not going to find me grocery shopping because my avoidance behaviors kick in.
Yeah.
So these
Yeah.
tools definitely help. These tools, cannabis, ketamine,
Yeah.
psychedelics.
Yeah. And just for the new viewers, I'm gonna share with you what agoraphobia might look like. So if you ever watch the show Shameless, there's a character on there who has a very, very severe form of agoraphobia. So a lot of people, the symptoms range. I would say it's on a spectrum, just very similar to some of the other conditions. But what it can look like, and this is the part that's really interesting that applied to me, and this is why I'm so passionate about talking about it, even though it's very embarrassing because I don't understand it. It's a physiological response that happens that you can't control. And so you get triggered into how can I keep myself safe?
Yeah.
And so some of the triggering things that a lot of people experience when they have experienced chronic illness, where they have not been able to have symptoms being managed, is they develop that you need to have a space that is very safe and very controlling, right? Very controlled. Everything needs to be in a certain way, predictability. And, when things kind of get out of order or life happens, it can be very triggering. And so some of the other things too, going back, when you think about being triggered, right? What is triggering you? Generally not the current moment, but your feelings about the current moment that is being reminded from something that happened in the past.
Yep.
So, for example, agoraphobia can manifest as not going to the hospital, not going to the doctors, not doing things that are important to take care of yourself. And so that is really important that people are able to move through that and identify it. So how does cannabis help me with my agoraphobia? Well, it was great is it helps me to stay calm. It helps me to stay present, grounded, mindful. It helps me to move through the fear anyways, no matter what. And pairing cannabinoids with other health and wellness tools, especially mental wellness tools, really 100% has helped me to get out of the door and manage it. So here's the other thing that's really, really interesting, and science and research have confirmed it. And so I'm going to confirm it too with my personal experience. Lower levels of THC and higher CBD levels of cannabis seem to work best with people with agoraphobia because of the decreasing of the stress response, decreasing anxiety, eliminating panic, improving focus, thinking more clearly. The calming effect can prevent tension, improve sleep, and decreases fatigue. So, cannabinoids for the win.
Yes.
Endocannabinoid system is absolutely magnificent. And so here we're going to just tap in just a little bit because we have a few more minutes left about what are the other things. If you have agoraphobia and you're traveling, let me just tell you, it's a project. It's a planning session, right?
Yes. Planning,
And
preparation is key.
yes, yeah. So preparation is key. So Carey Lee, what type of things, you know, when you've experienced it, do you prepare for? Like, what are the type of
Here's
things
my
that you
number
do?
one thing is when traveling. My number one tool well, besides CBD, let's be honest,
Right.
okay. My number one tool that's non-cannabis is my AirPods and my music.
There you go.
Music is one of my go-tos, my first go-to non-pharmacological, non-cannabis things. It's calming, it's soothing. I don't know about you, Sherri, but when I put my AirPods in and I'm on that plane or I'm even at the grocery store, you know what I mean? And I'm like, oh
Yeah.
my God, if I'm playing music, music sets the tone. Music can dictate what emotions you're feeling. So I know exactly, I have playlists,
There you go.
playlists that I've made that I just like, even frequency healing music
Yes.
is
Yes.
fabulous. To even have that just on low. When I
Right.
have headphones or AirPods and I feel like I'm in my own little protective cocoon. It feels like I'm there, but I'm not, and I'm safe. Does that make
Right.
sense?
Yes, it totally makes sense. Well, here's the
So
other
that's
thing
my
too
number
is,
one go-to.
and then the other thing too is just, knowing that it works, right? It's a tool in the toolbox, which is just great.
Absolutely.
I love it. So,
Absolutely.
so here's the other thing that's interesting with agoraphobia. Having a fear of being in closed spaces and being around a lot of people. So when you're traveling in the airport, guess what? It's very peoply.
It's extremely people-y.
And so the other suggestion, right? And Carrie Lee and I can attest to this, is not to just sit. Don't sit. You got to move. Stand and move before you get on the
Move.
plane or you get on the
Yep.
train or you're sitting
Yep.
in the car, because movement moves energy through. And so Denise taught me how to do this really cool hang exercise. And here we are in the airport, deep breathing and hanging, bending over, getting oxygen to our head, moving energy through. And it's just basically, who cares what people think? There's no one better, more
I don't.
important than
I
you.
don't, because
And
you know what? It's better to have that movement
than
than
drugs.
for me to have a full-on panic attack, okay? And
Exactly.
when I was doing the same thing on the plane, I was doing some chair yoga. I
There you
was
go.
doing some stretching, some ankle pumping to promote blood circulation throughout my legs. And I mean, it's just really where you, like you said, movement helps push that energy through. So it
Yeah.
releases it.
Yeah. So lots of walking, standing, dancing during those non-travel days. Right. And some of the other
Yeah.
things too that Carrie Lee has mentioned before is other stress reducing activities, things that you can bring with you, right? That bring you comfort. Well, I already know some of the things. You bring your pillow, you bring your light lamp.
My blankie.
Yes.
I
So,
am an adult woman, and yes, I have a blankie, and I am not ashamed of
no, and
it.
I know, and it's, and it's okay. It's
Yeah,
okay. We're here to tell you that it's okay. Tips, tricks, hugs, and nugs, and different
it
tools.
really truly is. It
Yeah.
is.
Let me just see what else we got here on the notes. Light therapy too is another one. So people that have issues with, depression, seasonal affective disorder, which is major depression with a seasonal component,
Yep.
getting outside in the light. So Carrie Lee's Five to Thrive was really, Carrie Lee's Five to Thrive, Denise's Energized Living, combining those two things, understanding the endocannabinoid system really, really can help with the mental,
Yeah.
emotional, and spiritual components of healing when you have a condition that may be embarrassing to talk about.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, so here we go. So here we are. We are Thursday, National Chocolate Day. If you're all going to start consuming infused chocolate, we want to remind you to start low and go slow. Definitely you want to eat something first, something fatty. If you're new to cannabis, you want to start consuming possibly late afternoon, early evening when you're home at the end of your day, so you can really experience the benefits of cannabis and know what it feels like. Other thing we recommend too for new people that are starting to explore cannabis is to have CBD on hand, because CBD can allow us to tolerate THC. It can dampen down that psychoactivity in the space that you don't want to create panic. You want to feel good.
Yeah.
So if I, I have a little bit of chocolate today that I'm going to check out. We went to a dispensary here. I'm here in Arizona, Mesa, Arizona, with Tasha Jackson, who's the vice president of holistic caring. And she took me to a dispensary in Arizona called the Flower Shop. And it was really, really nice. I was really kind of blown away. They had a medical component, an adult use component. I wasn't able to use my medical card here, but I was able to use the adult use, and the products were very, very similar. And I got some cool little chocolate covered blueberries, right? So I'm thinking, oh,
Ooh, yummy
right?
and healthy. Blueberries are so good for you.
And microdosing. So that's the other thing.
Mm.
So I actually got these blueberries for microdosing for when I'm traveling back from San Diego to Boston. And so microdosing, and Carrie Lee has talked about this before, you don't want to macrodose when you're flying, right?
Nope.
You can forgetful, it can, it can be, if you're going on a really long plane trip, you might be able to consume just a little bit more just to help you to sleep. But really, really, truly, it's about microdosing. It's about stimulating your endocannabinoid system, using little bits to help you get through the day, to help you to what? Show up as your favorite version of yourself, so
Yes,
you can live
absolutely.
a high quality life.
Yeah. Thrive zone, thrive zone. That's what we're
Thrive
going to do. Get you into
zone.
your thrive zone and keep you there.
Yes. So I'm going to
Absolutely.
put up another cool little slide here. Share screen, window. Here we go. So in honor of Women's Health Month, Breast Cancer Awareness Month, there's 25% off all programs at the Green Nurse with holistic caring. So Elizabeth Mack has created these amazing self-paced pathway modules for providers and patients. So if you're a nurse, if you're a doctor, if you are a wellness coach, if you are a cannabis industry professional, or you're looking to enter into the cannabis space, come and explore these programs. They're really, really great. It's going to help propel you. You get a certificate, and we will guide you, help you to get started on your cannabis journey, if you choose to do this in a professional way. Patients, we have self-paced patient programs, which are amazing, specifically individualized to specific conditions: cancer and cannabis, autoimmune and cannabis, migraines, epilepsy, autism, autoimmune, ADHD. So a lot of different programs for patients that they can check out and do the self-paced modules. And then the other thing we offer too is we offer consultations, coaching consultations, medical cards currently in Iowa and Massachusetts, but we're starting to expand across the country as we continue our merger of the Green Nurse Holistic Caring. So check out the programs. The other thing too, we're going to just plug this, join the community. So we have a free community here for all of you. It is off social media. It is private. It is uncensored. All the podcasts are there. All the nurses are there. Carey Lee is doing some amazing things. She's going to be creating programs on seasonal affective disorder, going to start creating programs on psychedelic nurse guides and what that means. So there's really a whole host of amazing things that's going on. The other thing that's starting tomorrow, and this is for our licensing, for the people that are in the licensing program. I just did a show last night, Cannabis Wellness for Moms. Danielle Simone Brand actually wrote a book, and I'm going to put that book right up here as well so you can all see it. And she's actually created this program. Here we go, based on her award-winning bestseller book. Weed Mom, Danielle Simone Brand, The Canna Curious Woman's Guide to Healthier Relaxation, Happier Parenting, and Chilling the Fuck Out. So I had her on the podcast last night to review. So she wrote this book over a year ago. Like I said, it has won award. It's really, really an amazing, needed topic to be talked about. Women's Health Month, we all deserve to feel good. And women are doing so many different things in the space, not only on the work front, but with children, self-care, as we get older. So this is a really great book. There's a lot of cannabis nurses that are quoted in here. So she's taken this book and has created wellness programs for moms. So really, really good. It's launching today, but we're going to launch it to the public in November. So stay tuned for that. All right.
Exciting stuff. Lots of exciting things happening.
I know, a lot of exciting things happening. Really, really excited. So just to wind up Thursday, today's Throwback Thursday, National Chocolate Day. We talked a little bit about agoraphobia and how cannabinoid therapeutics can help manage those symptoms and help people to get into that thrive zone. And we talked about the daily 5 to Thrive and how we support and nourish our endocannabinoid system and how important plant medicines are that can contribute to your mind, body, and spirit. All good stuff. Tomorrow, I'm taking a break because I'm heading to San Diego, which is going to be great. I'm going to be traveling with Elizabeth Mack, who wrote this book, Cannabis for Health, Become a Coach. She's the CEO and founder of Holistic Caring. And so we're going to San Diego to actually help open up a dispensary. So that is going to be really exciting. And we're going to be going live from that dispensary on Sunday, October 31st. So make sure you stay tuned. And then we'll be back next week with our regular program scheduling. And we have a lot of surprises for you all next week. So remember, Carey Lee, what do we want people to remember?
We want
So simple.
we want people to remember how to live their best lives and show others how to do the same.
Thank you so much for joining us today, everyone. And Carey Lee, I love you with you on
I
the
love
journey.
you too.
And we'll
Thank
see
you.
you all
Bye,
tomorrow.
everybody.
Bye.